First, we applaud the Senate's strong bipartisan confirmation of Lloyd Austin, who has been breaking barriers all of his life as the first Black Secretary of Defense in our nation's history. Secretary Austin's confirmation is a major benefit to our national security, and he's going to hit the ground running, leading the Pentagon. He will be sworn in today, but he will be sworn in more officially by the not more officially, I should say, but he will be sworn in more ceremoniously on Monday by the Vice President. Similarly, the President is very happy to see that Janet Yellen, the first woman who would ever lead the U.S. Treasury Department, was unanimously voted out of committee this morning. This should only be the beginning. We're facing unprecedented challenges and threats to our national security during these emergencies, and our country urgently needs our Secretary of Homeland Security in place. Alejandro Mayorkas is one of the most knowledgeable Homeland Security experts in the country. He's earned bipartisan praise, and he's been previously confirmed by the Senate 3 times. This is a confirmation that we are going to continue to press on in all of our engagements and conversations with the Senate. I also have some news to share on the President's response to domestic violent extremism. The January 6th assault on the Capitol and the tragic deaths and destruction that occurred underscored what we have long known. The rise of domestic violent extremism is a serious and growing national security threat. The Biden administration will confront this threat with the necessary resources and resolve. We are committed to developing policies and strategies based on facts, on objective and rigorous analysis, and on our respect for constitutionally protected free speech and political activities. Our initial work on DVE will broadly fall into 3 areas. The first is a tasking from President Biden sent to the ODNI today, requesting a comprehensive threat assessment coordinated with the FBI and DHS on domestic violent extremism. This assessment will draw on the analysis from across the government and, as appropriate, non-governmental organizations. The key point here is that we want fact-based analysis upon which we can shape policy. So this is really the first step in the process, and we will rely on our appropriate law enforcement and intelligence officials to provide that analysis. The second will be the building of an NSC capability to focus on countering domestic violent extremism. As a part of this, the NSC will undertake a policy review effort to determine how the government can share information better about this threat, support efforts to prevent radicalization, disrupt violent extremist networks, and more. There's important work already underway across the interagency in countering DVE, and we need to understand better its current extent and where there may be gaps to address so we can determine the best path forward. The third will be coordinating relevant parts of the federal government to enhance and accelerate efforts to address DVE. This considered, NSC-convened process will focus on addressing evolving threats, radicalization, the role of social media, opportunities to improve information sharing, operational responses, and more. Just a couple more items. As you all know, right now the President and Vice President are having lunch. This is something they look forward to doing every week. They'll be discussing their agenda, particularly getting relief to working families and containing the COVID crisis, and I'm sure they'll talk about the last 48 hours as well. Later today, the President will speak with Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. We confirmed that earlier this week. He'll also speak with President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador. We'll have readouts of both of those calls when they happen. Yesterday evening, the First Lady held a virtual event to honor and show gratitude for the hard work of educators across the country, especially during this difficult time of COVID-19. She was accompanied by the presidents of both the American Federation of Teachers and National Education Association. Over 11,000 educators attended the virtual meeting. Today, she will tour the Whitman Walker Clinic in Washington, D.C. to highlight and promote support services for cancer patients and caregivers. And while I know that was in our guidance, we want to use this platform here to also share with you information about both the Vice President and the First Lady moving forward. One more item as well. Earlier this morning, or late this morning, I should say, the President called General Daniel Hokanson, who is the head of the National Guard, to thank him for not just his work of the last few weeks, but the work of the National Guard over the last several years. He talked about his own personal commitment and connection to the National Guard, given his son had served previously. and he offered assistance, any assistance needed of both the government, but also on a personal level, and asked him to reach out if there was anything that he ever needed. I will stop there. Just a few updates. So, Amar, why don't you kick us off?
Thank you. I know this has been asked of you several times, but now that